what did you do in the evenings, Mr. McDowell, or at weekends?
I worked on the car mostly. I was upholstering it bit by bit.
Renovating it?
Yes.
It's a chummy, isn't it?
It's an Austin 7 Tourer, my lord. It became known as the chummy later, yes.
Yeah, 1935?
1930, my lord.
Ah.
And when did Fiona Sumner start visiting you at your garage?
Oh, about May, it must have been. I knew her by sight, anyhow. One evening I just looked up and there she was, standing at the garage door.
Did you grow to like her?
Yes, I thought she was a nice girl, and she seemed a bit lonely, being an only child.
What on earth did you and a 14-year-old girl find in common? What did you talk about?
All sorts, my lord. Well, what she wanted to do in life, and well, all sorts.
And did she sometimes help you with the car?
Oh, yes.
Now, we've heard that a Mr. Noel Dobbs from Fulchester...
Absolutely.
Well, near Fulchester, drove his Austin 7 from Fulchester to John O'Groats in August. Now, that's right, isn't it?
Yes, it's 477 miles. He did it in 14 hours and 6 minutes. That's an average of 34 miles per hour.
Well, I say, that's very fast. I'm sure the Austin 7 that I had in 1938 would never have done it as quickly as that.
Yes, well, it takes a bit of time to get up speed, but they're faster than people think. If they're taken care of, that is. They're very...
I think we'll go into that now. Now, this fellow, Dobbs, wasn't it? He made this record run, and you thought that you would like to do a run too. Now, why didn't you ask your own children to go with you?
Well, they weren't interested. Robert gets bored in cars, and Alison, well, she has her friends.
Did you ask her to come?
Oh, yes, 10 days before. Oh, they would both have been at school anyway.
Fiona Sumner missed school on account of this trip of yours. That didn't seem to worry you?
Well, it would only have been for a couple of days.
Now, whose idea was it that you and she should go to Scotland together?
Oh, hers. She said that...
When?
On the Sunday evening. Sunday, September the 2nd, it would be. She showed me the photograph of her father that the college had sent her, and she said, if we went for the record, we could go and look for father. Will you take me?
Those were her exact words?
Yes. Well, at first I said no, and then she said that she'd go anyway, even if I didn't take her.
Now, did you tell your wife what you planned to do?
Yes.
And she agreed?
Yes.
Yeah. And did you make any arrangements to get off work? Mr. McDowell, did you make any arrangements to get off work?
Yes.
Yes. Now, was Fiona Sumner happy during the journey?
Oh, yes, very happy. Well, Sunday was beautiful. I even thought of having the windscreen open. We got a bit tired, but we were in good spirits.
How do you know she was happy?
Well, she was laughing and joking.
And did Fiona try to get away from you on those occasions when you stopped?
No, why should she?
Would you have tried to stop her if she'd wanted to go?
Well, I'd have tried to take her to a station or something.
Yeah. Now, what happened when you got to John O'Groats?
Well, Fiona was all for ringing her father there and then, but I said you couldn't do that at that hour of the morning, and I suggested that she got some sleep first. So she curled up with a rug in the front seat of the car, and I wandered around for a bit.
Did she make a phone call later that day?
Yes, I woke her at 9, and we went to a telephone box and we looked up this number.
Whose number?
His. I'm sorry, her father's.
Yes. And were you in the telephone box when she rang?
Yes, she asked to speak to Mr. Archibald Sumner. And when he answered, she said, "This is Fiona speaking. I'm your daughter." Well, he replied that he hadn't got a daughter, that she must have got the wrong Sumner, and he said that there was no purpose in her coming to see him.
And did you say something?
Yes, I suggested that she came back to Fulchester. I said I'd take her home the next day, well, after we'd rested for a bit. Well, she was very upset. She was crying, as you'd expect.
Yes. Now, I don't think there's any dispute about what happened after that, Mr. McDowell. There was a struggle, and she and you made your way independently to Archibald Sumner's house, where she was turned away from the door. And then you returned to John O'Groats to book a hotel, at which moment she disappeared, leaving a note saying that she was going home and you were not to follow her.
That's correct, yes.
Did you follow her?
No, I thought she would be better off on her own.
Now, did you at any time suggest that you and she should go off on a tour of the west of Scotland?
No. Oh, I did once mention that it would be a nice thing to do.
But you never made a specific suggestion that you and she should go.
No.
After she left John O'Groats on the Monday, what did you do?
I stayed the night at the hotel, and then I went off to the West Coast.
Ah, so you did go to the West Coast?
Oh, yes. Yes, but I never proposed to her that she should come. I only went after she had gone.
Why?
Well, I really couldn't think of anything else to do. I mean, I wasn't expected home for a few days, you see.
You, in fact, returned home to Fulchester on Friday, the 14th of September?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. McDowell. Will you wait there, please?
Mr. McDowell, now just tell me whether I understand your case correctly. Miss Sumner suggested she should accompany you on a trip to Scotland to enable her to visit her imaginary father and for you to break Mr. Dobbs's record for the run.
That's right, yes.
She persuaded you to take her. You did not persuade her. You obtained a week's holiday from Mr. Gerard, the manager at the bank. You obtained your wife's consent. And Fiona Sumner told you that her mother had given her consent.
Yes.
And your intention was to do the run, perhaps wait whilst the girl saw this imagined father, and then come straight back, a trip of a week at the most.
Yes, that's right.
Now, when you were arrested by Sergeant Crossman, he told you of your right to remain silent.
Yes.
Yes, but you nevertheless elected to say something. You said, "Do what you like with me. My wife's left me. I've lost my job. Everything's finished. I had nothing to do with the girl's disappearance." Now, when you elected not to exercise your right to remain silent, if the story you're now telling us is true, why on earth did you not tell it to Sergeant Crossman?
Well, I didn't think.
Exactly. You hadn't thought it up then, but you have now.
It's the truth.
Now, it's right, is it not, that your employers gave you a mortgage on your house some 10 years ago?
Yes.
Yes. And that mortgage has now been called in, has it not?
I'm trying to get another, but it's very difficult. You see, I'm still unemployed.
Yes, quite. We're not concerned with that. The point I'm getting at is that the mortgage has been called in because you defaulted on your repayments, and you defaulted on those because on the Friday before your trip to Scotland, you withdrew £250 in cash from the joint account with your wife.
No, look, it's not correct. You see, with the bank, if an employee leaves, then the mortgage becomes repayable at once. Well, when I was sacked, my mortgage became repayable.
Oh, is that so? In any event, you did draw out all that money, leaving only £5 in the account. Now, what did you want all that money for? An extended tour for two of the west coast of Scotland?
I've already explained. I only decided on that because I couldn't think of anything else to do.
Oh, really? Now, you've told us that Fiona told you that her mother had agreed to the trip.
Yes.
Did you believe Fiona when she told you that?
I did, yes.
Oh, come on now, Mr. McDowell. You believed that a woman would agree to her 14-year-old daughter going away with a man to whom she'd barely ever spoken?
It sounds silly, I know.
Well, look, if your daughter had come and asked you if she could go away on a trip with a 40-year-old married man who you'd never met, would you have agreed? Nonsense, isn't it? Now, you say that you asked your wife about the trip, and she agreed.
Yes.
Well, when and where did this conversation take place?
At home, in the sitting room, one evening after supper. It would be Thursday, September the 6th.
Was anyone else present during this conversation?
Robert, my son, well, he was in the house, but there was no one else in the room.
You told your wife that Fiona Sumner was going away with you?
Yes.
And she agreed?
Yes.
Well, had you ever before this asked your wife to agree to your going away with the teenage girl?
No.
And your wife agreed, without any objection, just like that?
Yes.
Oh, come on now, Mr. McDowell. Your wife has left you, hasn't she?
I don't know if it's definite.
Well, is she living with you?
No. No, she and Alison, that's my daughter, they're staying at her mother's. I've asked her to come back, but she said she'll make up her mind after this.
This trial?
Yes.
Why did she leave you?
I don't know.
Oh, come on now, Mr. McDowell. Your wife has left you, and you don't know why.
I don't.
Well, have you asked her?
No.
Was your marriage unhappy by September of 1973?
Not as such.
What do you mean, as such? It's either yes or no.
No.
No. So your wife left you, did she not, because you took this trip with the girl without telling her, and because you drew out from the bank the only means of support available for your family?
I asked her. She agreed.
Your wife is in court today, is she not?
Yes?
Well, can I take it, therefore, that she's not going to give evidence to back you up?
She won't give evidence.
She won't lie for you, is that it?
No. No, she just won't do anything for me anymore.
And when Sergeant Crossman asked you if you'd gone alone to Scotland, you said yes, didn't you? And that was a lie, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, if you'd done nothing wrong, if your wife assented, and so far as you knew, Fiona's mother had assented, why did you have to lie? Why did you have to conceal that Fiona had been with you?
I don't know. I just said it.
You lied, and you don't know why. But that's not the only lie, is it? Another lie is in the suggestion that Mr. Gerard agreed to your having a week's holiday. Yes? It's a lie? It's all untrue?
Yes.
Did you not go and see Mr. Gerard, the manager? Mr. Golding, I take a very serious view of this. Mr. Gerard was cross-examined on the basis that the accused had obtained his permission to take a week off. When Mr. Gerard denied this, it was inferred that he was lying. Yet now your client withdraws the entire allegation. I think an apology is owed to Mr. Gerard.
I give it most readily, my lord.
Yes, I expected you to behave with your usual courtesy, Mr. Golding, but it is your client who should be apologizing.
May I say something?
Yes, I think you should.
I didn't ask Mr. Gerard for the week off. I did upset my wife and my daughter. Well, now they've left. I did draw all that money out, and I didn't tell my wife that I was going. But I didn't persuade Fiona to go. That was her idea. And I'm still glad that we went because we were happy. We were really happy up there in Scotland with the car. We were both happy. I mean, she didn't come to any harm because of me, only because of her family and those stupid ideas about not telling her that her father was alive. People say that I'm disgusting. Well, I'm not. And I'm not ashamed. I went because... Well, because I'm over 40 and I'm fed up with the bank and my wife and my kids and I have no reason to stay together anymore. Well, there's no love there. There's no affection. I wanted for once in my life to do something spontaneous, something adventurous, something that I wanted to do, not that other people told me to do. And when I did it, I was exhilarated and I drew all my money out because I wasn't coming back.
But you did come back, didn't you?
The case of the Queen against MacDowell will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court.